Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, how you doing? My name's Martin. I am the host of the Rangers Rabble podcast, and this is your afternoon Rabble. I would ask how was your weekend, folks, but I've kind of got a funny feeling I know how it's went, I know how it was. And to all, by the way, the reason I had to change it to 12:35 was because it wasn't loading on Facebook, and I had to try and figure out a way to get it onto Facebook. So for all yous making fun of the start time, blah blah blah. I was like 1 minute and 1 second late, which for a Monday's acceptable, isn't it? For a Monday, it's absolutely acceptable. So, how's your weekend been anyway? I'll be honest, mine's has been went to the women's game, met up with a few of the guys for the rabble at that. I still need to find a way to get Ian's season ticket back to him. So, we'll wait and see how that goes. But all in all, yes, a blurry background. I'm trying it out. What do you think? With a blurry background. Do you prefer that or do you prefer that? What do you think? It's up to you. We'll probably leave it at that. Probably leave it at that. So Rangers have got announced a new CEO. A WhatsApp rumour going about saying the manager sacked, and where I was at the women's game at the time, and loads of people were getting a wee bit excited about it. I was a wee bit up, and I was saying to a few of the folks at the game, "Oh, look, there's this WhatsApp going about, blah blah blah," and turned out to be nonsense. So yeah, so there we go. What do we do? But we're going to chat Rangers CEO, Rangers chairman, which apparently will be announced in apologies, folks. My internet seems to have died. I don't know what's going on the new bit. I really don't know what's going on the new bit. But it's absolutely killing me. So I tell you what we'll do, folks. We'll get the question of the day in so I can bring in my guest just in case the internet goes again. So here we go.
Question of the day.
And the reason that I brought you straight in, Ian, is just in case my internet goes again. Because I want to give you the credit as well, because it's actually your question of the day.
And do you know what? My internet went as well, exact same time as yours. Said to leave the studio and come back in. So,
you know, I was having a conversation with I'll try that again, with my missus about this. And, you know, I upgraded to better internet because obviously I do this, right? So I upgraded to the better internet. And my missus is under the impression, or she's pretty sure that it doesn't matter what internet you get, it's always going to cut out. And she thinks it's just volume of people using internet nowadays.
Do you know what? She's probably right. She's probably right. Because I used to, when I stayed in the city centre, I remember I got signed up to this deal that was about 40, 50 quid back 10 years ago when 40, 50 quid a month was a lot for internet. And it was like begin with an O, can't remember what it was. It was the latest kind of broadband kind of width, and the cables that went through were all specialist, and we had a kind of a panel down in the main body of the building that basically gave us a super quick internet, but it went down all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she might be right, Martin. I think it's literally because I'm right to say we all use BT lines to a certain point, don't we?
Yeah.
So
Virgin Media is different. I think Virgin Media have got their own lines, but apart from that,
right. They fibre optic it through the pavement, don't they? Or through that kind of route into the house.
My computer is plugged into the Ethernet.
Yeah.
So there should be no issue with my internet. There should be absolutely no issue. But anyway, question of the day, Ian, which I completely forgot that you gave me, if I'm being honest. But it's your question of the day, so take it away.
Okay, so the question today is the AGM's on the 5th of December. If you had one question you could ask the board, what would it be and why?
Which is a very good question. Which brings me on to my next question, Ian. What would your question be?
Oh God, yeah, I wasn't ready for that. My question would be, which I don't know how they would answer, is how have we got to this position, guys? How many wrong turns did we have to take to get to this position, and why? You know, I don't even think they could answer that, to be fair. But it's just a kind of general question. Is what I would basically feed to them. But yeah, so we've got some good ones coming in. The Martin's back. Oh, there we go. I was just about to jump in there, but good stuff. He's come back.
See, Aldo's asking the exact same question, although probably not putting it as nicely as you. But why have you done this to our club?
Yeah.
My question would be, what was the working behind giving Clement the extension in August?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. That's a great question. You're flickering in and out, Martin. But yeah, that's a great question, because that same type of thinking has also been applied to promoting Coppin from within. So to me, I think that I mean that's fantastic, because now it looks very much that Clement could be on the way out, and if Clement's on the way out, how stupid a decision was it to give him that year's extension? It just makes no sense whatsoever. And I think
it makes less sense than man, doesn't it?
Aye, that's it, I know. And to be honest, I think it was only me, Mark, and maybe you in our group chat at the time, maybe a couple others actually, sorry, that were saying, this does not sound right. This does not sound right. There was a lot of guys that, and understandably so, that were kind of thinking, well, it gives him a bit of stability. We're leaning into him. He's leaning into us, all that kind of jazz. But nah, I wasn't a fan of extending Clement's contract right from the beginning. But Andrew's right to say there. Andrew's just mentioned, I don't know if Martin's frozen again. Let's have a wee look. Yeah, hold on. Andrew's just right to say is basically asking, how do we know Clement's on the way out? We actually don't, Andrew. And to be honest, I'm not sure that we'll see that in the next couple of weeks. But certainly the new CEO, when he starts in 3 weeks' time, has got a massive decision to make. And the future of a manager will be one of them. So, yeah.
See, another comment for Andrew before my internet goes again. Ian, the fans' demand for instant success are built in the past, sacking manager after manager. That's why Rangers are in a financial mess right now. Do you agree that we're in a financial mess because we've continuously sacked managers?
It's a small part of it, I would say. I think we're in a bigger financial mess because we've had people on the board that have been overseeing players' contracts that made no sense. That's what's put us in the financial mess. What's put us in the financial mess is John Bennett alluded to before he went off not well. Every player that we've signed in that had a residual value, a really high residual value at one point, we've not capitalised on. The list could go on forever. Morelos, Golson, Kent, Cantwell, all of these guys come in, and at one time or another, they were probably worth, or definitely worth, a lot more than we paid for them. We then didn't go and maximise that. Now, I know it's retrospect, hindsight's 2020 and all the rest of it, but the truth is, and I remember at the time, Christ, if Morelos had been sold at the height of his powers, I don't think I'd have been that happy. A lot of us wouldn't have been happy. Same with Golson and Tav, all the rest of it. These guys were worth an awful lot of money at the height of their powers. But that's when you have a board that sees ahead more than 5 minutes of itself, Martin. Mm-hmm. And when you see ahead more than 5 minutes of yourself, especially considering where we've come from, I think these guys are really culpable of that. So as much as replace, and incidentally, you can replace a manager as often as you like if he's not getting it right. You know what I mean? Of course, it's not a good practice. But you're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of folk to say, well, all we're doing is the same thing, rinse and repeat, as John Bennett said. But, I think we're getting to the stage now whereby it's interesting because of the pending appointments of Patrick Stewart and Malcolm Offord, it was interesting to hear a lot of fans and a lot of fan media say that these guys bring with them both political and commercial networking contacts. So my question, if that's the case, is What's the current board got or not got in terms of contacts? And it's obvious they've got no contacts, no relevant contacts. In the main, a lot of our current board are partially retired and have come from industries that didn't pertain as such to the footballing network. So to that end, these guys haven't got themselves out there, made themselves known in what is on their own network. So to me, they did the stellar job of wrestling the club back, Aaron. Yeah, these guys wrestled the club back from what was a Charles Green, Mike Ashley type doomsday scenario, and they were fit for purpose for doing just that. But now what's happened is we've got to a stage whereby they're now not fit for purpose, and something has to change.
I think that's what you say when you're changing so much in the club so many times. This doesn't help to where we are now, where we find ourselves now. We get a good board and we get stability. We build ourselves back to where we're at, and then we're level there. And then they think, wait a minute here, this is going too well. Let's change it all and start again. It just doesn't make sense.
Listen, I think everyone has a purpose, Aaron. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I've got nothing but respect for the Douglas Parks, John Bennetts of the world that rescued their club from what was, a ne'er-do-well that was essentially, had no interest in the future of our club. At least the likes of the Douglas Parks and the John Gilligans and the John Bennetts are Rangers fans. Yeah. But what's happened is we've got to where we are today, and then these guys haven't had the ability to pivot and find suitable appointments. Yeah. That much has been obvious. So, rather than keeping Clement guessing about potentially getting a new contract, they leaned into him before he was a proven quantity. Yeah.
Yes.
And just said, here's a year extension. Crazy. Yes. And then again, now it may well be Coppin can work out in his technical director role, marrying into his head of recruitment and all the rest of it. But the truth is, we've just looked inward. And why do we keep looking inward? Because we don't have an outward. That's my point. We just don't have an outward. So it'll be interesting to see. This CEO, Patrick Stewart, he comes with a lot of experience, Aaron, wouldn't you say?
I think, I don't think it's hard. It's bad for us to get someone like a businessman involved and knows what it takes to make things happen. He's not a safe bet. He's going to upset people because he wants it done his way. And I think that's what Rangers need right now to steer us back into the right direction, I think. It's fair to say. So he comes with a business background, and not one that we've seen before. That it's like what you were saying with the Mike Ashleys and things like that. They had business background, but we're only interested in what they could get out of it rather than put in it. So I think Patrick Stewart comes with a level of he's been and done it time and time again, and it's almost his reputation on the line. And I think
interestingly, do you think him having 18 years at Manchester United, that can't be a bad thing, Aaron, can it?
Well, actually, just before my internet cuts out and before Aaron answers that, I'm going to do the Who Am I quickly and then jump back.
I do that, yeah.
But I think also his years and years of experience with the X-Men will prove invaluable for the football club.
And driving the Enterprise,
Absolutely. That's just experience that nobody else has got in world football. But today's Who Am I, right? I'm going to do it in two parts. The first clue is not much of a clue. If you get it, fantastic. And then I'll give you a bit of an easier clue and you'll probably get it. Now, Ian and Aaron both have no clue who this is. So the first clue, like I say, not a great clue. I signed for Rangers in 1995. See if you watch Ian closely, watch the wheels turn, right?
I know, I'm thinking already.
Get it. I signed for Rangers.
I usually get them. I bet I don't get this one.
I bet you don't. I signed for Rangers in 1995 and I made 97 appearances for the football club. No, it's not Harold Shipman. No, it's not Sebo. I signed for Rangers in 1995 and I made 97 appearances for the football club. Who am I?
What are you thinking, Aaron? Have you got anyone in your head?
I'd like to think I'm too young, but I'm just thinking. I'm just having a think. Of course, you're too young as well, but
Well, no, I was probably, let me think, at least 10 years into a season ticket by that point. So I'd have seen this guy that signed in 1995 probably play all of his 97 appearances, or certainly the ones at Ibrox. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting. But I think I need a wee bit more than that. I haven't seen anything that's jumping out the comments at me at the moment. But yeah, so interesting. We'll see if Martin makes it back for the next clue, because, like you said, he's not told us anything. He's not even text me or anything to tell me who am I is today.
So I think it's quite a difficult one, because we had a lot of good players, as you can see by the comments at that time. So it's quite a tricky one, because some of the players that played for Rangers during that time are sort of not forgotten, because that's not fair on them, but there was bigger names. Like, you're seeing the Loud Drops, you're seeing Gaza, you're seeing Haitley, you're seeing all the names in the comments there. They're the big stars of that era. So there is some players that sort of were a bit under the radar, shall we say.
Absolutely. And don't forget, everyone, your question of the day, again, before Martin clicked off there, was the Rangers AGM is on the 5th of December. And if you were allowed one question to ask them, what would it be? What would yours be, Aaron?
Where are you thinking with the new appointments? What direction do they want to take the club into? I think that's an important one, because we need direction. Because right now it's no secret that we've no direction whatsoever. We're just plain sailing, and not even plain sailing. We're really struggling as a football club, and you're seeing that. One thing that yesterday got me bigger than anything else was the fact that the rumour about Clement spread so quickly out of nothing. So somebody somewhere had said that. So was that maybe a push to try and get the fans heard? Was it maybe a push for the board? A little bit of pressure for them? I'm not sure. I would love to know where that came from and what the
Well, it's interesting that Patrick Stewart's start date is going to be in 3 weeks' time, isn't it? So, by which time will have played a lot of key games, and at that point, Christ, if Clement can redeem himself, I don't even think that's possible. But if he's to come out of some of those games with some victories, maybe it's not so done a deal for the new CEO to then pull the plug. But if he comes out of the next 3 weeks and the performances and the results have continued the way they are, I think it could be curtains, Aaron.
Well, maybe that's why they're holding off appointing him on the 16th of December, because I said it in our chat yesterday when we were having the discussion of when do you think they should come in. I think they should come in after Clement has been sacked, because then they have a fresh perspective, and then they can really stamp their, what they're about on the club. First thing they've got to do is search for a new manager. What's a bigger test right now for a chairman and a CEO to sit down and talk about who's going to manage and who's going to steer the club in the right direction. So I feel they're maybe holding off. I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll see Clement after the 16th of December. I'm really not. And I think that's why they've held it off, to let him fail. And I don't like to say that, but we all know he's not going to go in Europe and get a result from Spurs right now. They've just beat Man City. Do you know what I mean?
The argument would be you wouldn't even expect a strong Rangers to beat Spurs. You know what I mean? That's Spurs are light years financially and ability wise ahead of us. So you wouldn't expect that under but it's not about the Spurs. It's about the away to Kilmarnock. It's about at home to Dundee United. It's about all the stuff that we've had to sit and watch. And more importantly, it doesn't say, and I've got a funny feeling, Aaron, I don't know what you think, I've got a funny feeling we might do okay against Nice.
See, this is what we do. We have a really bad game in the league, and then we go in Europe, and it's a whole different team, as has been discussed countless times on the pod, and then it almost saves Clement, and then we go back to the league, we get a rubbish result, and we're back to square one. Then we go to Europe, and then the hope's back, and it wouldn't surprise me if we beat Nice right now, and then the pressure's off Clement. And
why? Listen, why is it such a 180-degree turn, Aaron? Because I've never really felt, with the exception of the Lyon game, that uncomfortable in Europe. You've kind of felt we're always kind of in the mix here? You know, what's I don't understand. So why are we doing well against these supposedly stronger teams, and yet we struggle to United and Kelly and the like?
I think the lack of pressure. You know, there's minimal pressure going into Europe. You know, we're doing it to see how far we can get for the money. We are expected to fight for league titles and cups, and we're not doing that right now. So when the pressure, and you see that last season, see when we had the title in our hands and the pressure really amped up, we flopped. They don't have that in Europe, and that's what I feel. I feel that they go on tremendous European campaigns because the pressure's off them and they enjoy playing football.
Yeah. It seems to be something. You know what I mean? There's obviously something. Clermont's setup, his 4-2-3-1, is obviously lends itself to a lot better than European football than it does domestically. Because, you know, domestically, everybody gets behind the ball at Ibrox, and then all of a sudden his 4-2-3-1 isn't working and he doesn't have a plan B, and that's the rock he's perished on.
Are we ready for clue number 2?
Yeah, give us a clue. Go for it.
Right, okay, so I'll remind you of the first clue, and I'll add the second clue in. Right, I'll try and do it fancy for these folks. So I signed for Rangers in 1995, clue number 2, for a fee in the region of £1.5 million. I made my debut, again, second clue, against Anorthosis Farmagusta in a 0-0 draw away. Where was Farmagusta? Is that a Greek team?
Cyprus, I think.
Cypriot team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's Cyprus,
I made my debut in a 0-0 draw away in Cyprus. That's just, you know, I probably should know that. I made 97 appearances for the club, and here's a big clue: scoring only 4 goals. There you go. So
I've got half an idea. In fact, I'll send you a private message.
So I signed for Rangers in 1995 for a fee in the region of £1.5 million. I made 97 appearances for the club. My debut came in a 0-0 draw away against Anorthosis Farmagusta, and I only scored 4 goals for the football club. That is your second and final clue on today's Who Am I?
I've sent you a wee private message, Martin. I don't know if you can still hear us, but you can tell me the private chat if it's right or wrong. What about you, Aaron? Any clues on that?
I think that just made it more harder.
Excellent.
You don't hear about players unless they're performing at high levels, like your Gazas, Loudrops, Hateleys. You know, you don't really.
Yeah.
There is so many underrated players in Rangers at that time.
Well, listen, I've just been unofficially told I'm up the right path here. So Martin's got back to me and said that I think I've guessed correctly, and I can see a few folk in the comments have kind of got it right as well. But we'll see what the third and final clue brings when Martin returns. You know. So back to Patrick Stewart. I mean, I guess my only worry about Patrick Stewart, Aaron, as well, is the role of CEO at Man United. He'd only done for a brief moment in 2023. And the time is somewhere, I think it was Timmy Sharp that's mentioned in the comments, the time that he's resided over Man United is arguably Man United's worst time in its history.
Yes.
You know, or am I just being pessimistic now because everything at Rangers is, you know, glass half empty?
Well, you look at it and say, why did he only have a short spell at CEO? Why didn't he continue? You know, that immediately leaves you with question marks. Because if he was so good at the role, surely he would have just stayed on. So given a short time and then given his old role back, it brings question marks. It really does. That's all.
And do you know what, Nicholas? I often agree with Nicholas that when I see his comments, and you've got to remember the CEO isn't going to change results in the pitch. So we've got two separate issues here. We've got all the bits in the boardroom that haven't been working, and then, you know, it's not the boardroom's fault per se that Clermont hasn't delivered on the pitch, Aaron, is it? So there's two separate failings here at Ibrox, it would appear.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got players that don't know how to play for a badge, haven't really ever, you know, certain players in that team have never had to play for a badge before. I think it's fair to say they've never, you know, we haven't got ex-club legends, or you couldn't say Desser's, you know, Desser's old team, yeah, okay, he scored goals, but do you think they were happy to see him go? Probably, because that's what he that's what he brings to the team. So I think we've got a lot of issues. We've got the players. We don't have the players. I truly believe, okay, maybe a handful that could challenge for a title, but the rest of them have bottled it on countless of occasions. So you've got that issue. Then you've got Clement, who doesn't know pot tactics, what he wants to do. He'll bring on subs at halftime. He'll do things just radically. Remember that time when he was like, "Look, I won't take any bull from the players." So he subbed off Cantwell in Europe, and everyone's thinking, right, this is what we need. Somebody that the players will respect and be scared of. And then he just went back and did the same old stuff. And now he's suddenly subbing players off again. It's like, I just don't know. And then you have the manager, obviously. You have the backing staff. I don't think his coaching staff's good enough either. I really don't. I don't think they even back him to a certain extent. Then you've got the board. Then you've got all these problems in one. It's not a great time to be a Rangers fan right now. And
absolutely. But in Buffalo, can I just say I quite appreciated that joke, but I don't think the gaffer did. He took it down pretty quickly, But I appreciated. Did you catch it, Aaron? No.
I didn't see it. No.
I'll tell you when we're finished. But just on Dougal's point there, what do you think of that? He's saying bringing people in with no real links to the club, to me, feels like a step in the right direction. I agree with that.
Yes, I'm not a big fan, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a big fan of bringing in old players and stuff just because they have that connection and experience with Rangers Football Club. You need to bring a fresh outlook, because we've seen that. We've seen old players come back. Look at Alex Ray right now. He's part of the coaching staff. So you're bringing them back because they know what it's like to play for Rangers. Well, that's great, because that's, how long has he been out of the game? So times have changed, and the more we're just dilly-dathering, the rest of the clubs in the Scottish Premiership are coming beyond us. They're putting their time into bringing up youth players. They're spending their money wisely. They're selling players at their peak, and not like us, who just sit there on players until we let them go on a free transfer.
I don't know if you think the same, Aaron, but as time goes on, we're likely to see less and less Scots that are featuring for Rangers, and therefore a lot of these, there's a lot of talk about bringing the likes of a Barry Ferguson into the club and all that kind of stuff. Former Rangers greats to explain to the modern footballer what it's like to play for this club. I'm just not sure the modern footballer is going to listen to the likes of an ex-star, not just Barry Ferguson, but his like.
I think likes of Barry Ferguson and that, they lost games and stuff, but they don't really know what it's like not to win a trophy at least one season.
Yeah. Do you think there'd be some value still in bringing in that type of player around the stadium, around the players, more importantly?
I would like to think, but I agree with you. I don't think the players that we have right now will listen. I think they're almost dreaming that they're fantastic, like Clement is. They've all got this dream world fantasy going on right now, and you can see it. It's starting to show. Clement really believes in his tactics that none of us even know what is. The players believe in their manager. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So are these players better than Clement's getting out of them, Aaron? Do you think that these, or do you think the level of players generally dropped, or is it a combination of both? What's your thoughts?
Well, an easy answer for that would be Suter. What Steve Clark's getting out of Suter to what Clement's getting out of Suter. That's an instant, evaluation.
Is that down to Clement's message just isn't getting across to the players, or what is it? Is it this 4-2-3-1 that no matter what cannot be broken? What is it?
I think it's a combination of all. Really, I truly believe you get a centre back that knows how to play the role, that will dig in deep and knows how to play the ball. Then Suter's instantly comfortable. You see that in the Scotland squad, and I know I hate to go back to it, but you do. You can't ignore the truth. It's right there. The facts are right there. You get somebody, a confident defence who know what they want to do and what they want to achieve. He's outstanding. Put him into a ruggedy defence that is all over the place all the time and don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Then you see it for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because the change between them, the change between Scotland Suter and Rangers Suter, it's almost like a different player.
It's incredible. Right, come on, let's get this last question in, Martin.
No. That's like you've had your two clues. I'm not giving you any more.
Oh, only 2 clues? I thought it was 3. Why did I think it was 3?
No, only 2 clues, because too many people are getting the answers right, and I'm fed up with everybody getting the answers right. Can I just say it's been a really good discussion today, albeit my internet keeps going off.
I'd say you've not been here for it.
But there'll be more to discuss on this and more tonight at 7:30. We're obviously back for your Monday night Rabble. And we're also back at 6:30 for your women's show. A nice 6-1 for the women yesterday at Broadwood. So we'll be back for that. There's loads to talk about tonight, by the way. And I could keep this going, but then it would just take away all our content for the night. And the afternoon Rabble is only supposed to be half an hour. But Ian, I think you have guessed correctly. So would you like to tell everybody who today's Who Am I is?
Today's Who Am I is, and it's a particularly pertinent one for me because Timmy Sharp said I used to look like him when I was younger, right? So today's Who Am I is Gordon Petrich.
Well, yes, he did say that you should get that one. After the second, I think it was after the 1.5 million and Clue. I think Silver Fox got it. Trying Scotsman, Ricky, Jock Blue, Buffalo, Aldo, Finn Fogel, Geordie. Loads of people got it after that second Clue. So apologies again, folks, for my internet. Well done, Ian, for taking the reins and
kind of thinking I was set up here a wee bit. You know?
That should never.
Where did Aaron appear from? That was never in any of my text loops. You know.
That should have officially a host, Ian. So that's
you got your way.
I got it. So listen, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Like I say, we'll be discussing this and more tonight. We'll be getting back over the Dundee United game as well in a bit more detail tonight at 7:30. So please make sure, if you haven't already on YouTube, that you like and subscribe. We just recently surpassed 12,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Fantastic.
So thank you to every single one of our subscribers. And if you want to help the podcast out a bit more, help support the pod, you can do so by becoming a member. Links for which are in the description, either on YouTube or Patreon, whatever you prefer. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Aaron, for jumping on last minute.
No problem.
Thank you, Ian, for taking over the hosting reins.
Aye, I'll speak to you in a minute with
that. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like I say, we'll see you tonight at 6:30 for the women's show, and then 7:30 for your Monday night Rabble. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon, folks, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.